Got something new to tell you about. Next week, KAXE is bringing you a brand new podcast. If you love Tuesday mornings with John Latimer, you're going to want to tune into and subscribe to KAXE's Season Watch Pod. It starts Thursday, October 16th. Hosts are going to be Charlie Mitchell, me, John Latimer, and also rotating cast of characters. It's a podcast for the curious, and it's filled with the delights of nature.
Wonderful. Yeah. I'm a little excited about that.
Good.
I've been, don't consider myself a podcaster, but who knows? Maybe I'll have to add it to my list of accomplishments.
Yeah, and we're dragging you into it too, off and on. So.
Kicking and screaming.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're so difficult.
Well, it is time for our student phenology, and of course, funding for student phenology is provided in part by the Minnesota Environment and Natural Resources Trust Fund. Phenology talkbacks are produced by Charlie Mitchell. Our first report this week comes from Lindsay Engel's class at North Star Elementary School in Virginia.
This is Mia, Zoe, Brooke, Alex, Cody, and Nick, with a report from North Star Elementary on September 25th, 2025.
We still have beautiful colors in the forest right now. Leaves are starting to fall, but many are still on the trees and showing their fall colors.
We took a walk to Silver Lake in Virginia on September 25th. Here are some of our observations.
We could see perch, minnows, and small bluegills close to the surface of the water near the boardwalk, and green swirls of algae on the water. We could hear black-capped chickadees singing chickadee-dee-dee, honks and quacks from geese and ducks, and crickets chirping. We could smell decomposed leaves and some fresh-cut grass. We could feel the cool water on our fingertips and some fuzzy dark green moss on the rough bark of the willow tree on the shore.
In our own neighborhoods, Olivia noticed some bees on garlic chive flowers in her yard. There were several laying very still in the cool morning, but most were gone when she got home. We wondered if they fell off or warmed up and flew away.
Zoe noticed frost thawing in her yard when she went to school this morning and has been watching chickadees visit her sunflowers for a snack. She's also seen grasshoppers in her yard. Zoe's dad found a giant puffball mushroom in the woods outside of Grand Marais.
Both Timmy and Avery noticed that something went through their garbage cans and dragged a bunch of trash around their yard in the past week. We wondered if the bears have been visiting their neighborhood. Harper's aunt security camera caught a big black bear going through the garbage cans in her alley last week. Another bear was at Ella's friend's house in the Midway neighborhood of Virginia. Keep those garbage cans in the garbage if you can.
The last hummingbird that Mrs. Engel saw in Britt was on September 10th. Xander's grandma saw one on September 17th.
Tegan noticed a huge flock of junicos in his yard and his neighbor's yard. He estimated there to be 200 birds altogether.
This has been a report from North Star Elementary in Virginia.
Keep exploring the great outdoors!
Yeah, keep exploring the great outdoors. What a nice report. Lindsay, thanks for getting the kids out and getting them walking around. That's always great. Mia, Zoe, Brooke, Alex, Cody, and Nick, great report. I love the part where they talked about smelling the decomposing leaves and fresh cut grass and then feeling the moss, the fuzzy moss, on their with their fingertips on the willow trees. It just, phenology isn't all sound and sight. It's touch and smell. It's not taste, but it's everything else. And they really laid it out there for us. Just a really, really nice report. The bumblebees that they found on the chive flowers, that's, if you go out in the early mornings, I have New England asters blooming right now. And if I were able to get out there this morning at daybreak, I would find bumblebees sleeping on those flowers. When the temperature drops below 50, they just kind of shut down. They don't die. They just stop moving. And they'll just stay there until they warm back up. And when they warm up, they'll get busy again. I was a little surprised to see that there were reports of bears around in the Virginia area. Of course, this was late September. I meant to talk to some of the bear experts that I know, and I do know a few, and find out if it occurred to me, do the bears respond to a warmer fall and stay out and active later, or are they more keyed to the availability of food, and over the years they know that late September is kind of the end of the feeding season, and they just go off and go and hibernate? Some of you who are experts on bears and maybe are listening this morning, if you could send me a text and let me know that what's the case there? Do they, because of the warm fall, are they staying out later? Or do they just go, you know what, it's the 21st of September, it's time to go to bed?
We just got a text in from Noah in Britt. He said, "Can confirm the bears are still up and about around here. At least this fella." And he sent us a picture from his trail cam. Holy cow.
Yeah. Well, that's community radio, and thank you for that note. And I'm anxious to hear from some of you who are experts on bears, who have studied them and know them intimately. I'd love to know more about their behavior in the fall. Last hummingbird, September 10th, and Xander's grandma saw one on September 17th. I'm glad, it's cool when you get the kids introduced to phenology and they get their families involved. And a grandma is always a good source. Boy, they pay attention. And I'm thrilled to hear that. I saw my last hummingbird here on the 14th of September. So those numbers comport. It's like that. If you've seen a hummingbird in the last few weeks, I'd love to hear about it. I suspect that most have left the area by now. And Tegan saw a great big flock of juncos. And yeah, I've been seeing a few juncos myself. It's nice to have them back in the neighborhood. Our next report comes from Allison Ofterheide's class at the Cherry School near Iron Junction.
Hi, this is Saley,
Aaron,
Jacob, Willie,
Annalise,
and Harley reporting from Cherry School in Iron Junction, Minnesota on October 6, 2025.
On September 29th, during our walk in the school forest, we noticed maple have changed colors. We saw 2 maple with peak color, and one was about 80% bare. We also noticed that the speckled alder was about 67% bare, and we saw woolly and alder aphids on the trunk.
On October 2nd, we took a field trip to the St. Louis River in Toivola. We used nets to catch mackerel and vertebrates with Jim from trout in the classroom. We found stonefly nymphs, emerald dragonfly nymphs, several large crayfish, and more. We were analyzing the mackerel and vertebrates. We found and determined that the water quality index was 1.8 and the water quality is excellent.
We also went for a walk near the Saxon Bog Welcome Center with Clinton. We saw a porcupine about 15 feet ahead of us on the trail. It looked spiky and it was maybe looking for a place to hibernate. We also saw a marshmallow grasshopper that Clinton picked up to show us. On the boardwalk, we felt some squishy sphagnum moss. Some classmates stuck their arms all the way through the moss to reach the water. We also saw a lot of pitcher plants and learned how they attract bugs to eat.
This concludes our phenology report. This has been
Saley,
Aaron,
Jacob,
Willie,
Annalise,
and Harley reporting from Cherry School. Nature rules!
Nature does indeed rule. Thanks, kids. Great report. I like the fact that you got out and walked, and you were out with Clinton, which is a really nice way to go for a walk. Clinton knows his business. The porcupine, spiky, it looked like looking for a place to hibernate. Porcupines do not hibernate. They are active all winter. They sleep a lot, and they make a mess when they maybe have a little den where they dig down a little hole in the ground. If you come across one of these holes, you're going to see that it is just lined with their scat. They poop the bed, and they don't seem to mind. Perhaps it keeps them a little warmer. I don't know, but they don't hibernate, and they do make a mess. They sleep quite a bit, but they get up and do a little eating all winter long. So keep an eye out and know that your dog is not safe regardless of the time of year. Checking out pitcher plants and learning how they attract bugs. Always a good thing. Lots of fun things in there, and a lot of, sounds like a great experience. Glad you guys got out and got to take it all in. Our next report comes from Lee Jackson and Darcy Rolfe's classes at North Shore Community School near Duluth.
Hello from North Shore Community School on the North Shore of Lake Superior. My name is Ford, and I am your phenologist for this week. Valerie saw that there were about 50% more aspen leaves on the ground than on September 23rd. Solveig saw a bunch of mushrooms that have turned dark brown and started to decay. Just a few days ago, they were golden brown. Miss Rolfe's class noticed on October 1st that the hawthorn trees by the creek are now dropping their haws or apples. On September 30th, Lydia saw a bluebird on her deck. She is seeing far less bluebirds than even a week ago. She believes that they have already started migrating. Miss Helgen's class saw a flock of 30 European starlings flying and landing near the pond. They think starlings might be migrating. Miss Urban had seen a lot of dark-eyed juncos in her yard and also at the playground at the school. As they fly away, she can see their white outer tail feathers, which is a good way to ID them from afar away. The juncos forage on the ground for food and are eating up to prepare to migrate. We will see them pass through the school again in the spring. On Sunday, the 28th, Xander watched a monarch butterfly drink from the hummingbird feeder alongside a blue jay and a common grackle, who ate suet from the stand. On Friday, Julia saved a newborn snapping turtle at her house. She put it beside a river in a safe place. Jackson saw a garter snake near his chicken coop. One of his chickens had it for a tasty snack. Chickens are omnivores. A few smaller snakes as a treat or a special food source, swallowing them whole or pecking at them. This concludes the phenology report. Have a great week and be observant.
Thank you, Ford. Nice job. Good report. Those kids at the North Shore Community School always present a really nice report. The haws are dropping from the hawthorn trees. Those are small apples, by the way. Kids always want to know, oh, they're apples. Can I eat them? And I say, you can, but they're really bitter. And they are really bitter. So you can eat them. They won't kill you, but they're not very tasty. You can eat a lot of things. I mean, think about, I don't know, for me, when I was a kid, it was Brussels sprouts. You could eat them, but why? Oh, they were awful. Now I don't mind a Brussels sprout, but I guess my taste buds have become accustomed to them. I know that I ate a lot of them as a child, but unwillingly. I ate them under duress because my father insisted that I clean my plate. Our next report comes from our Long Lake Conservation Center near Palisade.
Hi, this is Decky from St. Joe's Rosemount.
And Adrian.
And Emma from the Nativity of Our Lord in St. Paul. During our trip to Long Lake Conservation Center from October 1st to the 3rd, we had a beautiful summer-like trip with a high of 83 and a low of 51. The snakes are on the move, and nearly everyone in our group spotted at least one garter snake, including one that was 2 feet long. We also roughed a grouse on the way to the bog and spotted a number of frogs.
Way more trees have changed colors here than in St. Paul, and our walks through the woods were crunchy because of the fallen leaves. But Long Lake is still a ways from peak color. We estimate that we're at about 50% of peak color. The tamaracks in the bog have not yet begun to turn golden.
Our group heard a saw-whet owl, woolly bear caterpillars, white-tailed deer, and a kingfisher and squirrels busily gathering food for the winter. Large flocks of juncos were seen. One of the highlights of the trip was stargazing. We enjoyed clear skies and the craters on the moon with cool shadows. We also saw lots of stars, including the Big Dipper. Despite it being pretty dry, a few of us managed to get about waist deep in the bog. It was a great time exploring nature, and we want to remind everyone to unplug, get outside, and
Live connected.
Thank you, Decky, Adrian, and Emmy. Nice report. Good for you kids to get up. Those kids are from St. Joe's in Rosemont and the Nativity of Our Lord School in St. Paul. And it's wonderful that those kids get a chance to get up and discover a little bit of nature. It opens their eyes, and their observations open our eyes. Saw-whet owls, woolly bear caterpillars, white-tailed deer, kingfishers, squirrels. Yeah, and get a chance to look at some heavenly objects. It's amazing what you can see when you get away from the lights of the city. We have a report coming in from Chad Caddett's class at Little Falls Middle School, and they had this to say.
This is Brianna and Amira reporting from Little Falls Middle School. This is our phenology report for the week of October 5th.
There have been some migrating warblers and coming through this week as we spotted some Nashville warblers and large groups of yellow-rumped warblers.
The most annoying pests this week have been the minute pirate bugs, as these tiny insects do cause a painful bite.
The black walnut tree by our school is dropping its fruit, and the large green balls will stain your fingers brown if you handle them.
We did have a large group of white-throated sparrows appear in Little Falls late last week.
We spotted our first junco of the year on October 4th.
A classmate was lucky to see a male ruffed grouse doing a territorial display, as was able to capture some video of him.
Unfortunately, large numbers of Asian beetles are starting to show up on our houses and garages.
For the 6th time in the last 7 years, cedar waxwings have shown up on our crabapple trees outside our classroom between October 2nd or 3rd.
Blue jays have been spotted in groups, and there was a small flock of 14 sandhill cranes flying overhead this weekend.
A student still had a hummingbird at his house, but we are guessing this might be the last sighting for a while.
Gray tree frogs are becoming a common sighting and are very loud in the evening. That's our report for this week. Until next week, keep exploring, keep discovering, and keep connecting with the great outdoors.
Thank you, Brianna and Amira. That was a lovely report. Lots of great things in there. I have not heard of the minute pirate bugs, but they don't sound like anything I'd want to hang out with. Anything minute that bites is not my favorite. I want something the size of a deer fly so I can see it and know and feel the satisfaction of killing it when it bites me. And black walnuts, yeah, my uncle used to have a black walnut tree in his yard, and he would lay them out in the driveway where he drove his car in and out of the garage. And in driving in and out of his garage, he would knock the hulls off, and then he would pick up the walnuts themselves and have a nice tasty treat for the winter. Ruffed grouse doing a territorial display, that's pretty normal. They're sort of trying to establish territory, and the resident male grouse on the territory is probably trying to keep them from establishing territory there. And there's also just a sort of I don't know, it must be the amount of daylight or something that triggers something in their heads that says, hey, maybe it's time to have a liaison with another female ruffed grouse. I say hummingbird because the next note is a student still had a hummingbird at their house. And my guess is that one from Monaga will probably find its way down to Little Falls. So there might be one more coming your way. Stand by. Our final report comes from Cassie Katzendorfer's class at the Rockford Middle School.
Hello from Rockford Middle School Center of Environmental Studies. This is Angela,
Ruby,
Hank,
and Bentley. We are reporting on the week of September 29th to October 5th. The highest temperature this week was in the 80s and the lowest was in the 60s. This week it was very sunny and dry.
Some students have noticed squirrels hopping around looking for food for the winter.
17 students have noticed banded woolly bear caterpillars looking for a place to stay warm for the winter.
many types of flowers are starting to seed out. The black-eyed Susans have started to bloom in our school prairie.
Thanks for listening. We will be back in a couple weeks. Bye.
Thank you, Cassie. Thank you for your work on that. And you may remember the name. Cassie worked at Carleton for a while and sent reports from that area. She's moved to a school down in the cities. And I'm going to go down and visit those kids and talk to them about phenology. And we will be hearing more from them in the future. Thanks for that report, Angela, Ruby, Hank, and Bentley. Appreciate your work. And we will be looking forward to hearing more from you in the near future.
Yeah, a lot of folks may not know that not only are we hearing reports from students and learning about nature from them, but they get visits from John Latimer, Charlie Mitchell, and assistants as teachers incorporate phenology and nature into their curriculum. And we offer all of that because we think this is what we need in the future. And this is what we love. And we know kids love it as well.
Oh, the kids do love it. And, the teachers tell me that you take the kids outside for 45 minutes and walk them around for an hour or 45 minutes, whatever, and they come back to the classroom calmer and more receptive to education. It settles them to be outside a little bit and just to talk about nature and see some things and think about some things. And you get them back in the classroom and they're just ready for more. We have one final report this week. It is from our good friends down at Prairie Creek Community School. They messed up on the audio, according to the teacher there, Michelle. And so I have their transcript here in front of me. And it starts off, "Hi, this is Henry, and this is Oscar." And Henry says, "We are from the Prairie Creek Community School way down south in Northfield, Minnesota." And Oscar says, "We had an awesome visit with John last Tuesday. It took us an hour and a half to walk our cross-country course that we usually run in 5 minutes." That should tell you something about the speed that I move. There's always something to look at, and I get distracted really easily. And they said, Henry says, "And we didn't even do the whole course." And Oscar says, "It's amazing how much you see when you slow down." And Henry says, "We saw volcano ants, magic dogwood leaves, gentian flowers, smooth sugar maple leaves, water striders, asters, and mole tunnels. We found a ton of woolly bears," says Oscar. Henry says, "It seems like it is a big year for woolly bears. Kids have been collecting them at recess, and they sometimes get over a dozen. Don't worry, we let them all go." Oscar says, "We don't have data from previous years to compare, but we are not sure if this is a big year or not." On Friday, our Merlin app recorded a number of birds, including bluebirds, red-winged blackbirds, an ovenbird, and even a palm warbler. The app has had dark-eyed juncos every day, but we aren't seeing them yet, and we just gather them on the app. It makes us wonder how many of one kind of bird have to be in an area for you to see just one. We noticed some trees like walnuts have lost almost all of their leaves, but other trees like our oaks and the dreaded buckthorn are still fully green. Oscar and Henry say this has been Prairie Creek. One more step along the phenology journal. Thanks, kids. I had a great time. I love their schoolyard. They just have the nicest little play area there and lots of flowers and whatnot. It is just a beautiful place for them to go and get some outdoor experience, and they take good advantage of it.